He further stated around 51 minutes mark, and I quote, if God is on our side, which I know he is, the army of Nigeria will die in Biafra land. Everybody will die. I will be the one leading it. By God's grace, everything called Nigeria will perish in Biafra land. The world must be prepared for what is to come. I want to let Katrina Lungs and the British government to know that we have chosen the path of death, and people are dying every day. We have to develop the mindset of after this, which even though NATO is there, NATO is there. We say that we are ready to die, and everyone that comes to kill us will die also, because things will start happening in the next 14 days. In the next 2 weeks, the slaughter will begin to happen. You see those CNN that have refused to come to Biafra. We come by force to see what is happening. We will make sure that every Nigerian soldier on Biafran soil will die. God is my witness. I will lead this burial myself, unquote. Around 55 minutes mark to the exhibit, he said, and I quote, I want the United Government to understand that we are ready to die than be slaves, unquote. At about 1 hour mark, he said, and I quote, Israel was named Palestinians by the Romans because they were too stubborn. If you go there...
Omotosho. I don't know if I am the only person who felt like a judge reading like somebody who is in primary school gives a different vibes, right? So thank you, Judge Omotosho, because what they did is called extraction. By extracting statements, removing context. When Nnamdi Kanu said every soldier that come to Biafra land would die, that quote was taken out of an ongoing broadcast. It was the invasion of eastern part of Nigeria, who were supposed to actually be there to provide security for the people of the eastern Nigeria, only for them to start profiling the young people in the eastern part of Nigeria. It was, it was actually one of the things that motivated him to speak more on the police brutality during the NSAS, because what you felt like was too much, especially in the Southwest, was like horrific in the eastern part of Nigeria at the time. Part of the reasons also why he's always angry is the way the Nigerian authority have been treating the people of eastern Nigeria, something that if you have never experienced it well, you will never understand. However, he was addressing that and said, if you, by any means, wage another war on us, this time around we will fight to death, and every soldier that comes to Biafra land will die. And up to this moment, they couldn't actually pin Nnamdi Kanu to any violence or any of these things, except just quoting him. There was any form of harassment or any sign of crime linked to any member of the IPOB when Nnamdi Kanu was doing his broadcast. It's like, projecting, telling you that very soon the people will rise, because people would rise. And there are those who still believe that Nnamdi Kanu not calling out a huge shutdown of the eastern Nigeria at the time was actually a favor for these power misruled miscreants parading themselves as your leaders. Okay, so Nnamdi Kanu is very much like upright and very straightforward with his sayings, but that doesn't connote crime. That doesn't automatically mean terrorism. until they kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu in 2021 from Kenya, locked him up in the DSS dungeon, and surprisingly, suddenly, unknown gunmen just brought out of eastern Nigeria. As they are breaking prisons, so were they kidnapping, and at the same time committing different kind of crimes that are so alien to the IPOB when Nnamdi Kanu was free. Why was that? We're asking. Why was it that until you kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu and suddenly the security of the eastern part of Nigeria became threatened? Why? Because the government is involved. They needed something, right? To eventually, because they were planning to cook a terrorism charge anyway. So they needed something to correlate with that. Hopeless Odingba and the rest of them, who are meant to actually really be probed, are now the ones who are leading the probe and leading the narrative in this sense. So they unleashed terror, their own terror, right, on the eastern part of Nigeria. Then Nnamdi Kanu said, if I am out of this place, this nonsense will stop the first 5 minutes I am out of this place. They said, no, he's lost control of them. No, just convict him, send him to kill him. He cannot stop them anymore. People who said he is the one or is the reason why young people are agitating in the eastern part of Nigeria, which is not true. It's not. Then the person said, oh, you know what? If I'm out of this place, within the first 5 minutes that I'm out of this place, this madness will stop, because it would automatically name and shame the real people behind it. Now, you need to link Nnamdi Kanu. I was expecting I'm expecting the Nigerian government, right, that have invested the last 10 years hunting down an innocent man, while they are also in bed with the real terrorists. 10 years. I was expecting them to at least present evidence of bank transactions, right? Present witnesses that will say Nnamdi Kanu paid them money to buy weapons, to train this, something that will link him. While you are also presenting the real violent people that you claim are IPOB or ESN. Some of you are not asking that question, but I understand why. Because there are so many of you that have bought all these their propagandas, their lies, hook, line, and sinker, why they are committing systemic genocide in the eastern part of Nigeria. I don't think you know that, right? No, you don't. I was expecting them to at least present witnesses. Here you get, all those people that are like criminals, but they are going to say, cut a deal and then become state witness. That's what I was expecting. But no, Baba, they are quoting Nnamdi Kanu's broadcast. They want to convict Nnamdi Kanu for treason because of his broadcast. And there's no single presentation of these killings that took place in so place. Here are the witnesses. They said it was you, Nnamdi Kanu, that sent it, because they know that if they have to present any witnesses, there is nothing they can find on him between 2011 to 2021. Nothing. Because those are the times that he was in and out of their prison, right? Nothing. So now, if they have to say Nnamdi Kanu is responsible for all this terrorism, all these killings, or whatever they are claiming, they will have to say Nnamdi Kanu is communicating with the people from DSS detention. They would have to prove that. So maybe this is what would have happened if they had proven to Nnamdi Kanu that this is the law we are charging you with, and this is why we are going to convict you. Sure, you get. In his defense, and those people he wanted to call to come and bear witnesses and all that, including with the wicked, maybe that would have been what would have happened, and said, listen, is there any record of any harassment or violent whatever linked to the IPOB before 2021? They will say no. Then when I was kidnapped and locked up in the DSS detention, are you saying that I'm actually controlling and commanding the people that are, committing crimes in the eastern part of Nigeria? So DSS will be called, DSS, all of them will be called in to say, could you please prove how I have been communicating with them, that you can now link all this to me? When they were trying Simon in, what do you call it? Finland, it took them a whole year and a half, by the way, before they finally felt like, you know what, we found some. You know what they did? They traveled down to the eastern part of Nigeria. Yeah. And interviewed the supposed, family members of those either officers or civilians that, became victims of this violence at the time. And they all said those who attacked them claimed to be BLA, this or that, And Simon was sentenced to 6 years. In Nigeria, they have no witness that says Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB or ESN did this to us. They did this to me. They did this to our village. But the entire media is flooded with all of this propaganda, right? But in their courts, it is because Nnamdi Kanu broadcasted that made him a terrorist. That's what Omotosho said. Listen to this other part.
Too stubborn. Go and ask how they did it. They bombed them, the Romans, away. Not these roadside bombs. Every road leading to Biafra will be man, landman. Everything that is Nigeria, whether it is police, army, will blow till the kingdom come. Every neat and simple. Very neat and simple, unquote. The defendant also stated in that same broadcast, and I quote, "We are asking for our freedom, and they aren't listening. But when we start doing what we want, the whole world will start begging us, and then I will come out from wherever I am and tell them that it's too late. Throw away your phones. Remain incommunicado as we are in the state of war. It will not kill you to do away with your phone. All people should go into the bush and stop the advance of this army, or else they will kill you." Unquote. These words spoken by the defendants in those broadcasts were not mere words, as they bear every traces of threats to harm people, including international representatives representing their nation in Nigeria. The said broadcasts were several in numbers, and defendants kept repeating his rhetorics that people will die if Biafra is not created. The defendant plan to commit the terrorist act did not only manifest in his broadcast, but was shown in a meeting he had with other Igbo people in the United States. At a World Congress, Igbo Congress meeting held at the 4 Points Hotel in Los Angeles, in the United States of America, as contained in Exhibit PWW. The defendant, while speaking to the audience, stated, and I quote, "We must not miss this golden opportunity we are bound to suffer in this time to come. You must come out to support what we are doing. We need guns, and we need bullets. I know we love life so much. Without it, Hausa will overrun us. They have succeeded in imposing Okoroshan on us. They are coming. Boko Haram is coming in Igbo land." Unquote. A female participant stood up to ask the defendant of his objective, as well as why need for weapons. The defendant responded, and I quote, "We now know that the best way to defend ourselves is to be armed, because Boko Haram is everywhere in zoo called Nigeria. So we need guns and bullets, and those of you in America will give it to us. Also, on the 22nd day of this month, something will happen called the blood moon. Most of you don't know that just before the Civil War, there was blood moon. There was blood moon in 67, and it only happens once in a while, because after this year, we will be free no matter what happens. If we don't get Biafra, everyone will live to die. We are not joking." His intention was quite clear. He believes only in violence as the solution to the creation of Biafra as a nation. And at the said World Igbo Congress, most of the participants were quite alarmed by the expressions as is planned, and so they kept asking if he had considered the option of peaceful dialogue, to which the defendant was adamant that only violence could lead to the achievement of his aim. These threats of violence are nothing but terrorist act, which was duly carried out by his followers as will be seen later in this judgment. The defendant knew what he was doing while making these violent statements. He obviously had an objective which one, the face of it is political. That is secession of the state of Southeast, South, and some middle belt states from the Federal Republic of Nigeria to form Biafra. The defendant was also bent on achieving his objective with the use of violence, and he didn't mind if his own people die in that process. As one of the crucial elements in establishing crime, the intention and the knowledge with which defendant carried out the acts can be expressed by him. If not so expressed, can be deduced from his conduct. Too stubborn.
Nuisance leleyi. Nuisance leleyi.
Nnamdi Kanu went to America and he addressed Igbo conference and warned them that you may think I am a madman. You may even think I am a warmonger. But you know something, there is already war at the gate. The Fulani terrorists are coming. And they are, he actually even called them Boko Haram too. They are coming down south. Eastern Nigeria needs to get ready. The politicians don't care. The elites don't even know. I am calling all of you now that the only way, the only language understood by these Fulani terrorists is violence. You cannot negotiate with them. At the time when Nnamdi Kanu was screaming like that, it was actually looking like a madman to some of these Americans. Where are you today? Igbo conference in America, especially those of you who are like all these rich Igbos in America that believed that with the comfort you have acquired, accumulated for yourself, for your children and the rest of them, right now it's not the time for anybody, or then was not the time for anybody to be talking about war coming. Today, you have your own people from Enugu to Ebonyi, from Ebonyi to Imo. You have these terrorists, right? Ransacking all these border towns, all these border communities, kidnapping people, killing them, stopping them from going to farm. Years after you saw a supposed madman calling your attention to something that was still to come. You were so comfortable. Very comfortable. And some of you are still pretty much convinced right now that Nnamdi Kanu's rhetoric brought about this violence or whatever in the Eastern Nigeria. Whose rhetoric is bringing violence to us in Yoruba land right now, for example? Hang on, whose rhetoric do you think brought this violence on the people of the Middle Belt of Nigeria? He was raising an alarm, and we were so comfortable that we didn't see it. By the time we started seeing it, the hand of our oppressors, our killers, those who are in bed with our own killers, the terrorists, they've already got him. And that is why we are all witnessing what we are witnessing right now. Today, everybody who is from Nigeria, even Nigerian friends, are calling on the government of Nigeria to do something and protect Nigerians. From who? From the people Nnamdi Kanu said the Igbos should get ready, buy guns, get weapons. Every time Nnamdi Kanu was speaking, right, the reason why he always included Nigeria was that he told us, he said, when these terrorists begin to kill us, their sponsors in government, they will protect them. Is that not what is happening now? Oh, it's the way he was saying the message. It's the way some of you have found it so hard to even admit that you were wrong. You are just following this script with them. But his word, his message, terrorists are not even speaking to you. They just come and kill you. And whenever they have a peace meeting with your supposed government, they give conditions. And you watch them.